In this demo, we'll be walking through a marketing analytics use case, which involves taking data from several disparate data sources, one containing advertising clickstream data and another containing sales data. This data will need to be prepared using IBM Advanced Data Preparation in order to create our IBM Cognos Marketing Analytics dashboard. Before I start using IBM ADP, I'll quickly show one of the potential issues I'm running into with my raw data. If I look at clickstream events per month for my advertising clickstream data, I will see that I have data for each month 1 through 10, but then it appears I am missing data for month 11. If I look at this no value column, I'll see that we have 4,738 records that have no month. Keep this number in mind for later on in the walkthrough. In addition to cleaning up some of these data quality issues, we'll need to blend our data sets together and create additional fields that we need to create our profit by state, order value by year, and sales by source visualizations. Let's take a look at how we can do this using IBM ADP. We'll be working with advertising clickstream data in the form of a CSV, and joining this with sales data in the form of a relational table from SQL Server. We'll start with our clickstream data. As we open this dataset, notice that we are given a lot of visual information to guide us. It appears this date column has some mismatched values highlighted in the data quality bar, which helps us to explore the data and learn what we need to fix. If you'll remember from earlier, we had 4,738 records that had no value for month, and if we look at the data quality bar, we can see we have the same number of mismatched records highlighted here. I can click on these values, and IBM ADP is going to highlight these rows, and I can see some formatting issues for November dates. Getting this visual feedback ensures that I can discover issues with my data easily. If I click on this column, I'll get some additional information, and I can see that, in addition to the formatting issue, I have this error timed out value that I may want to get rid of. Without the visual profiling that ADP provides, I might have missed these values and assumed my issues were solely due to bad formatting. Now that I've gotten rid of these values, I'll need to clean up my date formatting. I'll select this column again, go into my patterns, and select the pattern I want to standardize to. ADP recognizes the formatting issues and provides me with a suggestion for how to convert all of my dates to a standard format. Additionally, ADP provides me with a preview of this step, so I know exactly how this step is changing my data, and I can see that it is reformatting all of my November dates to the correct format. Something like this might take me a ton of time and frustration to resolve with code or other tools, and it took me no time at all using ADP. Next up, I need to extract the domain from this URL column. If I click on the column, ADP will provide some suggestions based on my interaction, and since it knows we are working with a URL column, I can select this suggestion, and ADP again gives me a preview of what this step accomplishes. I'll go ahead and add this to my recipe. I also have some product info in my URL strings, and I want to extract that. I can simply highlight over this data, and ADP will again generate a suggestion for how to proceed. Again, I just want to highlight how powerful this visual interface is. I get a suggestion for how to create this step, and I get to see exactly what each step accomplishes. There's no coding required, and you can see that after adding each step, I'm building a recipe of steps. This recipe can get synthesized to execute on any volume of data, and it can be automated to run repeatedly. More on that later. I want to address a couple of more issues with this data before moving on to my sales data. If you look at the column histograms, you might notice that we have one value that occurs far more often than any other in this dataset. If I select this value and narrow my view, it looks like this record is coming from the same source repeatedly, all occurring at the same time. This might indicate bot activity, and might skew my results, so I can delete this from my data. You can see after removing these values that my histograms are a lot less skewed. I also might want to fill in the missing values in this OS ID column to NA, so I'll do that really quickly. Let's assume that the clickstream data is ready to go. I'll now switch over to our sales data. As we open this data, most of the columns look fairly clean already, but there's this nasty column that contains an array with nested JSON objects that contain a bunch of useful information that I want to pull out. ADP makes it easy to work with even the most complex data structures, and I can flatten the array into its individual elements by just clicking on the column and choosing the right suggestion. Likewise, I want to now extract each of the JSON objects into individual columns, and I can do that by again clicking on the column and choosing the right suggestion. I'm now ready to join in the advertising clickstream data that we worked on earlier, so I can combine the information from our clickstream data with our sales data. I will go ahead and select the dataset that I want to join with. ADP is going to suggest the best columns to join on, and in this case, we're just going to do an inner join between these two columns datasets using the customer ID and user ID as the join key. I can select my columns, and ADP's visual interface will ensure that I get visibility into what the output of the join will look like. I might choose to get rid of a couple columns that I don't need, and when I'm ready, I'll add this to my recipe. The last thing I want to do is create a profit metric that I don't currently have in my data. I can do this by simply subtracting the total costs from the total sales column. I'll select these two columns, find subtract from the functions, and see a preview of this step. I can visually see the function achieves what I want, and I can rename this column to profit and add it to my recipe. Let's say that I've now done all of the preparation work that I needed to. I'm ready to run this job and publish this output to SQL Server, where IBM Cognos will pick it up for my dashboard. I can run this job using Photon for quick results on small data, or scale up to unlimited volumes using Spark. I can also create multiple outputs and specify my publish destination for each one. IBM ADP also supports relational sources, like IBM DB2. Once this job completes, I'll go over to Cognos to show the dashboard we are now able to create. Our dashboard contains visualizations that measure profit by state, order value by year, and sales by source. None of these could have been visualized had we not cleaned, combined, and enriched our data using ADP. To summarize, IBM ADP allowed me to discover and fix data quality issues quickly and easily. I was able to extract important information before blending my clickstream data and sales data together. We then created a profit field to be able to measure profit by state, and published the results to SQL Server for Cognos to pick it up from there. One last thing I can do using ADP is schedule this job to run on a daily basis, so my report is always getting updated with the latest information. If I go back into ADP, I've created a scheduled destination, and now I will simply add a schedule to have this data refresh every day at midnight. Hopefully you found this demo helpful. Thanks for watching.